All right, all right. We are live, but I haven't shared the show with anybody. Share. Copy the link. Wait, I can't do it from the phone. I'm going to have to do it from the laptop. Goofy. Well, somebody's going to get here sooner or later. Let's check one other thing. What's that look like? Oh, well, let's do this then. Hey, someone's here. Someone figured it out. Trying a new setup here, so bear with me, as you all often do. Good morning. If you're here, feel free to share the link because technicals did not permit me to do so. Oh, and then they're gone. Good morning, Honk. Good morning, Dom. That was so funny. Everybody was here, and then some of you disappeared. That was pretty comical. I figure y'all went to Hangouts to share the link. And if so, I'm extremely grateful. So, just making this. Yeah, you guys would be cracking up at the whack job business. Oh, guys, you rock. Yeah, you'd be cracking up at the whack job deal I'm doing here to get this camera setup going on. It's pretty funny. Kick you, good morning. So I wonder if you can tell me, Kick ya, why is it Kick ya Mart? How did that come about? Because that's funny. And you're going to answer me, and I don't have the chat up. I will in just a moment. I'm going to put that up right here. I have my lights up back here in the old studio so I can actually see all y'all. Or you can also see me. I can't see all you. Let's see. There we go. All right. So, Drum Bear, the big kind, my channel. Let's do it. And I'm live. No? I should be. Let's try that again. We're totally live right now. Come on. Hey, there it goes. Let's see what this looks like. Better. Much better. All right. But I have to look up at you guys. So, old. Yes, it's very well lit today. This is how I should do most of the streams. Just like this. I think it's good. Good morning. It's amazing how much of a difference the lighting makes. Like, the quality of the video overall is just way better. And I dig that. So, yes. Let's see. You told me the answer to my question. I am Kick It because I made up the name when I was 13 for online. And I am Mart because my last name is Martin. Nice! I like that. That's good stuff. I doxed you. How did I dox you? Let's see. You prefer me with pants? I don't blame you. I prefer me with pants too, but I'm going to go running after the stream, so I'd rather be in shorts for that. I'm not going to put jeans on. I'll try not to show off too much of my hairy leg. How about that? Oh, yeah, I did totally call you out that way. My apologies, but if you didn't see that, don't go looking for it, people. You don't need to know. Right? Yeah, if I Porky Pig syndrome this morning. If I could go back and edit that and cut that part out, I'd do it. So, of course, I use my real name, you know, and nobody's hurt me yet. I'm praying about that. Let's pray it stays that way. But I don't get too heated about too many things. I guess I talk about some controversial stuff every once in a while. Makes things interesting. Hey, like almost no headroom at all, so my wife would be proud. I'm learning how to video. Yeah, right. And donkey in this world. Oh, secret squirrel. Yeah, if you guys squirrel me, I know about it instantly. I felt like a dingus when I did that. That was hilarious. All right. Banana walnut. The wife made last night. We had some older bananas that were getting kind of brown. They work perfect for this. We don't do it that often because if you saw my Instagram post from yesterday, like McDonald's, I don't need a lot of bread either if I'm going to not be fat. But a little bit here and there. I'm weaning myself down. It's banana bread. I don't have to make excuses to y'all. Volume is meh. Oh, thank you for telling me. What does meh stand for? Because that's another old man thing I wasn't sure about. Is it like meh, like that? Not so great. That's kind of what I figured. Let's see. Mr. Nick Tubbs cracking me up. Okay, man. All right, this is what we're gonna do. So I have the camera like all the way over this way. Hang on one second. I'm gonna make an adjustment. Here we go. Come in a wee bit. What I ought to do one of these days. Yeah, it's louder now because I'm standing right the fudge next to it. And because I want a decent image for all y'all. If I get a way to hook this phone up as like a secondary camera for my laptop, that'd be awesome. You know, then I can rock it with the volume and all of that jazz. I'll just have to project. That's what I'll have to do. Or create some kind of like a cone around the phone that funnels the sound right back to the microphone. So I don't know if you're hearing noises of the washing machine or not, and if that's helping to kill things at all. But our image is a little better. Camera's a little closer. My lights are falling down. I need to fix that. There we go. Hey, it's brighter now. Let's see. Oh, jeez. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm happy with that image. I'd probably do this, honestly, though. Oh, what's that going to do? Yeah, I like that a lot. It's kind of nice. All right, cool. That'll force the sound right to you. So speaking of dogs, thanks for bringing that up, Honky. That's appropriate. So dogs are definitely a part of my life. We have 3, as you all know. And, you know, at a time like this, it would seem like appropriate for me to insert a little reference to the Sarah McLachlan commercials for ASPCA or whoever she did that for. And I don't really feel the need to do that because, for a couple of reasons, Sarah McLachlan wasn't really responsible for my abundance of doggedry. Mostly that was related to my wife having a dogological clock as opposed to a biological clock. So she wants to, you know, acquire more dogs for the house. In fact, last night I should say, she was talking about how she was feeling bad about Gita. You know, at some nights we try to rotate through them and have only one dog down with us at nighttime. We've had experiences that were very not good with having 3 dogs sleeping on your bed. And I'm getting older. I have less of a tolerance for the stresses of 3 dogs in my bed at one time. Not only on the psychological end, but on the physiological end, when they step on your throat and all of that wonderful stuff that kills me. Quite literally, if I'm not careful. So, Yes, I'm working on the oldness. I'll come back to this because I'm gonna try to figure it out, and I'm not gonna know what's going on. Good old chat squirreling that fudge out of me. At any rate, uh, we don't have the dogs because of Sarah McLachlan commercials. Uh, First, because my wife had the affinity for dogs and just loves to have them because of her dogological drive. Secondly, when I was in my teens, I had a girlfriend at that time, and the first date that we ever went on, really, was to go see City of Angels, just the two of us at the theater. Still can't believe my folks actually let me go do that at 14. It was a different time. At any rate, though, it was, it was like 21 years ago. Just thinking about that, almost 22. Mind blowing. But, yeah, we were going to go see City of Angels with Meg Ryan and Nick Cage. And subsequently after that, she let me borrow her copy of the soundtrack from that movie, that young lady. And I was a little disturbed in a sense. I would constantly listen to it over and over and over again because I didn't see this girl very often. You know, she lived a good 20 miles away, 15, 20 miles away or so. And so we couldn't just drive and see each other regularly. It was a difficulty in that young love relationship. But yeah, I was a little affected by all the songs on that soundtrack from that movie. And of course, the In the Arms of the Angels was on the top of that list. But after a time, I think I developed an imperviousness to that song. So Sarah McLachlan no longer had any power over me by the time those commercials came out. That relationship was far long done, and best wishes to her. She's recently had a second kiddo, so that's fantastic. Kudos for her. What am I thinking? So we have not been affected by that, so it wouldn't be appropriate to bring that up here. But what would be appropriate? See, this would really suck as a comedy bit if I tried to do this, because I'm like slowing it down way big time. But I'm working it out here. If I did do this as a comedy bit, how could I trim this up? At any rate, so we have these dogs, and what my wife loves to do when she wakes up is leave our bedroom door open, and one dog is sleeping with us, so that dog will then follow her out the door, and she'll let them go upstairs and go to the restroom. But the other two dogs are down at the bottom of the stairs down here waiting, because we have a baby gate to prevent them from coming in here and like munching on the cat litter, chasing the cat, all the kind of stuff that you would expect dogs to do. We let the other dog go up, but they don't do that right away. You open the gate and all the dogs run downstairs straight to the bedroom and sail like they're actually airborne for a couple of seconds. It's wild. And you think, with the complete lack of aerodynamics, I guess Chunk has some degree of it. Geet is a little more wobbly, but yeah, they sail right up onto the bed and usually land in one of two places, right? It's usually right in the center of my business, right? And that's pretty rough on business time, right? That's difficult. But that's often what happens, and I figured that out after just a couple of times. That's probably one of the likely scenarios. Or they manage to get all the way toward the head of the bed and get a paw near my throat, right? So my life is usually in danger when this action happens, of the letting loose of the dogs. And I think the encouragement is for me to get out of the bed at the same time as my wife. I have a resistance to that, and so my plan has been lately to take the covers, cover myself completely, put my knees up, just get in the fetal position and protect myself as if there's a bear attack about to happen. So yeah, I experience some physical distress with dogs, but occasionally, like this morning, the two bigger dogs will want to wrestle with each other. And they're going to want to do that right over me, right? Which means greater amounts of steppage on my person. I don't want that to happen. So I have to restrain the dogs from having their wrestling match directly over me. That's not good. So, Gita is probably the worst offender out of all of them because she is very obviously on the spectrum. And no, we've not had a diagnosis from a dog neurologist, but both my wife and I have high suspicions that that may be in some form a kind of dog autism going on there. And so she kind of is like Lenny from Mice and Men, and she doesn't know her own strength. But she'll also get riled up for zero reason that makes any sense to us. She'll be freaking out over light reflecting on the ceiling, as I've talked about before, the cat rearing its head even just a smidgen, right, into the kitchen, which is like the upstairs is her domain, right? But at any rate, she'll do this. And occasionally, when we've had her on our bed, right, she also likes to try and be exactly where we need to be. And then when we try to move her, she's often been resistant in the past. It took some doing, right? And I had to like wrestle her to the ground more than once. I had to grab a hold of her and take her to the ground gently, right? Like both of us are down the ground and I'm holding on to her snout and I'm holding on to her and saying, no, you know, like if she's snapping at one of us to express that, I'm not hurting her. I'm just giving it a clear understanding that this dog is not going to snap at either one of us just because we're trying to remove her from the bed. Like that's unacceptable behavior. And it really hasn't happened for quite a long time. You know, and I have to really lay down the law a little bit in a way that the dog can understand, but not abusive in the least. So I was thinking about all this morning and telling my wife about this. I thought, I don't know, I was frustrated, but I wanted to put some sort of a positive element to this and try not to just be a Debbie Downer to my wife. No offense to Debbie Ursa, by the way, that's not a disparagement on you. But I wanted to figure out what's a positive out of all this. And my determination was that if I was ever like mugged, you know, or something like that, because the dogs run at me and I've learned to prepare. Now, if someone was coming to attack me in the street or something like that, I'm probably a little more apt to defend myself, you know, like to be ready for it. My reflexes have increased a little bit, you know. Although it would be kind of weird if I responded to muggers the same way I respond to dogs. Like I jump on top of them and I grab a hold of their mouth and hold it closed. And I say, no, bad boy, right? No. That's not what we do, you know. Be good. I'll spray with water. I'll do it. You know, that would be an awkward situation. That whole story to get to that's all I've got thus far. Just the image in my mind was cracking me up so much. But that's something I think I should develop and edit and shorten to about maybe a minute and a half, and it would be way funnier. But yeah, that was going through my mind as a hilarious scenario this morning. At any rate. I'm just looking over what you guys have been talking about. Guys are so funny. Let's see. Honky Bear, I just read your bit about picturing McLaughlin in a McLaughlin commercial. Or picturing McLaughlin picturing a bear in a McLaughlin commercial. I can't even say it. That's funny. Man. Owen picking up dogs and gnawing on them. Should just grab George lift George above his 6'7" head and go, hum, 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 hum. That would be hilarious. It'd be great if somebody could animate something like that. That'd be a good Freedom Tunes clip. I'd watch it. He'd be picking up indoor cats. Yes, that's way better. That's appropriate. Because you have the cats in the ASPCA commercials and stuff sometimes too. But cat owners are weird. I say that owning a cat, right? So I don't discount myself. But people who are just cat owners. And I know there's some of you out there I've just alienated, but I love y'all. Come on, you're weird. Just be honest, right? Dog owners are weird too. I just went through that like 10-minute diatribe to get to two little jokes at the end. So we're weird, and we're probably a little special, you know, in the head. And I'm talking short bus, you know, not the gifted class. But at any rate, so I titled this thing today, Lessons Learned from Fathering. I wanted to talk more about how that camping weekend and the times at the museum had gone with my kids, but we had some really good experiences, and I talked about that a while back. Excuse me. It was last week, I think, Friday. I talked about that. But I didn't really get to much of the things that I was learning through all of that. I had opportunities to really pour into all the kids. Like I told you, I spent some time listening to Brian Regan bits with them, and that was ridiculously fun. But I also had times where I was able to, like, okay, this is insane in a way, but it felt weird to me doing this from a third person perspective. But there was an occasion where my daughter was not telling me the truth about some bad behavior she'd had, right? And I sat her down and I talked with her about this. This is while we were getting camp set up during that process. And she was kind of in a rough mood as it was. You know, there was a part where the dogs were all on tie-outs, you know, with these little like nylon, I think I have it here. Where is it? I thought I had a piece of it with me. I do. No, I'm wrong. Well, so this is like a hair scrunchie, right? And what we had was like nylon paracord. It was a little bit thicker than this and stronger. Not really as stretchy or elasticy, but it was lines like that tied to a corkscrew tie-out, metal tie-out that we had in the ground at the campsite, so the dogs aren't running off, because they do it. And one dog on a different kind of tie-out attached to the picnic table, but we're trying to get all three dogs away from the tent area so they're not stepping on the tent while we're trying to prop it up, because that's kind of counterproductive and frustrating, especially when you have 4 kids who are waiting for the tents to be up. And they're helping to some degree, but limitedly. So, there we go. Mayor is loved by cats. Oh my gosh, cracking me up. So I think my daughter was fussing with one of the other brothers of hers, and I can't think of which one it is now, but she was being aggressive toward one of them in some way, and then she was trying to tell me something different about it, but I just seen her do it, so I knew what was going on. But she was trying to tell me a story, and you know, kids will do that. I've done that plenty of times in my life. And I actually sat her down, and I made her sit and listen to me. And I said, years ago, there was a man. His name was Alexander. And he wrote these books about what it was like to live in the Soviet Union. That's right. I started to tell my 7-year-old daughter a very brief and sort of child-appropriate synopsis of what I'd learned so far about the Gulag Archipelago. And I was using this as a method to explained her the importance of truth telling. So I said to her, this guy lived in a place where the government he lived in was very bad, and they would come and put people in prison in the middle of the night. They might take them in the middle of the day, and they might even have to have a reason. And they treated people pretty horribly in the prisons where they took them. And you didn't really have to do much, you know. You didn't have to do hardly anything. They just think that you're a bad person, they'll do it. But how was that possible? Because he writes about it in his book that the reason that was possible is because in that society, in that country, everybody was lying about everything all the time, is the way it's been explained to me numerous times. And as I'm reading, the more I get into it. Everybody decided that truth wasn't important in the way they used to think, and they were lying about everything all the time. And so because they were able to lie to themselves and to others about what was really going on in their lives day to day, and they got more and more comfortable with doing that, they were able to tell themselves that their government wasn't as bad as it actually was, and that somehow it was a worthwhile thing to have. And to get taken off to prison, some people were actually happy about it at the time. Like, there's no reason for them to be happy about it, but they were just relieved, like, finally, they're going to take me. I don't have to wonder and worry, and maybe this is a good thing, but this was all them lying to themselves. So, if you make it a practice of lying, that's the results. You actually not only hurt yourself, but you hurt the country you live in by lying. Like, I think I put it in exactly those terms, but I tried to make it pretty clear that it's like the repercussions are not just for you. They're much bigger than you. That's why it's like super important that when I ask you something about this, you tell me the truth. I say this not always having told the truth in my life. I've had plenty of parts in places in time where I've failed at that. I've not been good out of fear, out of cowardice. So I've seen repercussions in the immediate for me at times, and I've worked harder and harder to really at least get the first half of Dr. Peterson's rule about that, which is not his rule per se, it's biblical, but I think back occasionally because he articulated it so well and brought meaning behind it that I didn't previously see. So yeah, I try not to say things I know that aren't true, and I get that a vast majority of the time. I don't always feel it appropriate to say everything, right? Like, I don't know that telling the truth about every single thing all the time is necessarily to my credit or the credit of others. There's some things it's probably not appropriate time to share, you know, even though it may be true. But truth is definitely the winning virtue in that sense. But yeah, I tried to teach my kid by referencing Gulag Archipelago, and she listened, reluctantly, but she listened. And if nothing else, they get the idea that they're going to get a lecture from Dad if they don't do what they should do. So it was interesting. You know, I think about this and I wonder, what are my kids going to say about their upbringing when they grow up? I think about that often, you know, and I hope that it's more positive than negative, and some of these lessons stick with them. But I know a lot of what I say probably goes over their heads. They're like, "But I don't know what you're talking about." But at the same time, some of those seeds sink in, right? And I think of that old proverb, train a child up in the way they should go. When they're old, they shall not depart from it. And so I work at more of my training is verbal, but I try to expand it to physical things that they can do to internalize a lesson. I was watching a movie with my wife last night that I'd never seen before. It was Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid. It was a movie called Frequency. I don't know who's seen it or not. I won't totally spoil it, but suffice to say it comes out pretty quick. There's the dad likes to use a ham radio. It's back in the 60s, and it's a pastime. He's also a firefighter, and I guess he dies in a fire. And somehow, 30 years later, his son is getting a hold of the old radio equipment, and there's an aurora borealis going on or something, and somehow that affects the radio frequency in some way and sends it back through time. and it's about a week or so, a couple days or so before his dad dies. I think it's the day before his dad dies, and they're talking on the radio together somehow. They don't know it's them, but eventually he figures it out, and he tells his dad, like, don't die, don't let it happen. And just kind of interesting how it all unfolds, but it really depicted the father-son relationship in a pretty beautiful way. And it made me really think about some things with my own kids and with my dad as well. A little tear jerking, I'll be honest, but it was just making me think, how do I create memories with my kids best and instill important values in them? And I try to take my kids out, like I'd been doing this week, to camping, where we're roughing it. We gotta rely on a much more regimented day. We got to get certain things done, like get the dishes cleaned right after the meal, because we only have one set. We have to make sure that we're keeping our dirty clothes set aside, because if we just let them all over the place, we have a small little tent. There's not a lot of room to create a mess in, so we can't be doing that. We have to make sure that the tent is constantly closed so that bugs and other critters don't get in our tents. So there's practical lessons that they're learning through that process that are really, really worthwhile. And then going to museums, having their imaginations exploded a little bit, is really, really stimulated through some of the different exhibits they have there. And I thought about the Field Museum. I think it was closed, and we ended up not getting to do that. But I wasn't really disappointed. I'm much more interested in like the STEM field type stuff, and then from there, if they want to dig into arts as well, I'm a big proponent of that type of thing too. But there's more concrete stuff that they can get from a lot of the STEM field things, and that's why we did that. Like the Riverfront Museum has a lot of stuff related to that. They have the planetarium there, which was a heck of a lot of fun, and the kids have done that a number of times. They love it. They had at the Museum of Science and Industry, well, I should say at the Riverfront Museum here in town, they had this mythical creatures exhibit that my oldest son is really into. I mean, he's just fascinated by some of the exhibits they have in that. And so that's really stimulating his imagination, because he's got an artistic bent in him quite a bit. And I really love the ability to foster that, because that has practical application. It's related to STEM field stuff if he's got an artistic bent there. Because graphic design, a la Steve Pinder, right? That's a lucrative career. It's got some definite potential for him. So I want to encourage him there, and continue to encourage them in music like I do. But it's been interesting. It was interesting to take them up to Museum of Science and Industry, let them touch like an actual funnel cloud. They had this like 20, 30 foot tall funnel cloud that they had created in the building. That's one of those exhibits they've had there for a little while. It's pretty cool. They got to see an active Tesla coil and stand directly underneath. It's mounted on the ceiling in this giant Tesla coil. And they had a girl go out there with a tube light bulb and hold it up, and just holding it up, and there's still a good like 20, 30 feet of space between the light bulb and the Tesla coil. But the charged electricity now in air is powering that light bulb. It started to illuminate just from her holding it up, right? I think it's because the conduction goes through us. I can't remember how that works. But it was really interesting. It was really, really neat to see. But the kids were just blown away. Things that they'd never seen, like artificially created lightning strikes indoors. That was something else. And yeah, they had a exhibit of a German U-boat that was there. We'd seen in the past, but taking them all the way around that and getting to see different aspects of that. And they even had like a computer program where you could sit down. It was like 3 monitors across, and it was a virtual reality sort of experience to drive a U-boat. So some of those things, bug in my face. um, were really exciting, and it was neat to see them spark up, right, with potential interest, um, and to try and get into an understanding of what makes them tick, what gets them fired up, you know. Um, a lot of times we do things that I'm interested in as well, that I want to do. There's a lot of things there that I wasn't particularly interested in. There was just a variety of different stuff for them all to connect with. And they all found stuff there to connect with that they really thought was neat. So that was an occasion where I didn't feel like I was forcing a lot of my interest in things on them, which are not bad, you know, like canoeing, for example, taking them out, or going for hikes in the woods. It's not just that they're my interest, but it's good for them physically to get outside and not just play video games. So um, I was able to take a look back at how I was doing that, you know, with the museum stuff, and that it was giving them an opportunity to show off a little bit more of their personality and their interest, and play with that a little bit, you know, kind of investigate it more themselves, so that not only was I learning more about them, they were learning more about themselves through that process. Um, that's exciting, you know. The fact that we actually got to do it as well is amazing, because I think both the museum down here and the one in Chicago are Blue Star museums. So because I've got military background, we get to go for free. That wouldn't happen. We wouldn't do either of them otherwise, because they're outside my price range. It's not something I'm capable of doing. So I was massively excited to be able to do that and have an opportunity to learn lessons about how to do dad stuff better. Um, So I don't know. It's just some of my thoughts about that I don't know if I shared before when I talked about it last week. But hopefully some of that's useful to you guys. You know, if you are able to see how you can better prepare your kids um, for the world ahead, and at the same time work to better establish relationship with them, that's huge. Do I recommend that you take your 7-year-old, if you have one, and try to explain the importance of not lying through the Gulag Archipelago references? I don't know if I would say that. It seemed appropriate to me at the time. And again, I stress, not in graphic detail, because I don't think a 7-year-old's it should be exposed to the graphic details of that, but enough that it's a little shocking, but um, to create contrast between her life and the life that people there had. So that's all I'm thinking. Interesting experiences with that. Also, 3 dogs camping. I think I mentioned that before. 3 dogs camping. Definitely not something I recommend to anyone, unless you have like a mobile home or something like that you're taking with you, like an RV. In that case, maybe. Um, let's see, I've been ignoring the chat talking. You guys are probably having a grand old time over here. Let's see. Fireproof. Yeah, that is a good movie, Honky. Oh. Yeah, yeah. Steve Pinder, you saw Fireproof right after that business with your ex there. Um, I had a similar experience. Let's just say that. Prepare with Crowder. Nice. Nice, Don. Yeah, just going back through. I'm gonna have to look back at this after I'm done to see everybody's things. But yeah, feel free to throw some comments out now on some of your thoughts, because I've been talking at you for a little while and I want to interact with you some too. So, and I want a chance to eat my banana bread here. So yeah, whoever's still here, who is still here? Oh, we got 10 of y'all. Well, hey, Base Texan, thanks for subscribing. I just saw the notification for that. We bought a zoo. That is a movie? I don't think I knew that. Dom. Let's see. Is Base Texan in here? Because that's pretty awesome. I always appreciate more people subscribing, because guys, we're almost at 100. We're getting close. Like getting into triple digit subscribers. That's unreal to me. Like I'm so grateful for that. Let's see here. It doesn't say. Okay, I was just looking at something. Back to the chat. Hey, yeah, Matt Damon in that We Bought a Zoo. I'll have to see that, kick ya. Zach Bugas is here. Everybody, Zach is a buddy of mine. He's awesome. I'm so psyched. Zach is an amazing musician. I love this guy. Go subscribe to Zach Bugas. Go check out his music. You gotta celebrate Zach Bugas stuff. Zach is the man. He invited me to come out to his place about an hour west of here a couple of years ago, and he paid me. He actually paid me like $20 a pop, like for gas and stuff, because that's about what he could do. But we recorded music together, and it was like folk stuff, which is stuff I'm gonna try to get released as I'm able to work on it and get it finished. I haven't forgotten about this project, Zach. I'm all about it. This is so psyched that he came out for this. This is great. Yeah, it's all folk stuff that Zach had written, and I love it. He was calling it the Woolly Hooves Band, or the Woolly Hooves Project. And I loved that. Woolly Hooves is such a cool name. And I still dig that project. It was some of my most favorite drumming that I've ever got to do. I traded drum kits with him. Like, we did a drum kit trade, and I had his blue Gretsch Catalina maple kit that I used for a while, which was great. But then a student of mine bought it for me. He had my black Yamaha stage custom kit that I used for that album largely, and I loved. By the way, do you still have that? Tom. No, Zach, hang on a second, dude. I've got to wrench you, man. You need a wrench in my stream. That has to happen. Welcome to Mod Life. Right? Zach Bugas is now a moderator for the channel. He's vetted, guys. He's cool. Zach, do you still have the Yamaha kit, or did you sell that? I can't remember if you told me that you had sold that. The old black Yamaha stage custom. I'm looking to see. You're probably typing something, but because that was one of my favorite kits. It was like the first kit that I'd had for. Oh, you traded it for a sonar kit. That is right. I think I remember you mentioning that to me. So yeah, we no longer have the kit that was used on that album, but it was pretty close to the same size as what I've got now in this kit, except that had a big 22-inch bass drum. This kit has a 20-inch bass drum that I'm using here. A lot of the same cymbals that I had at that time, different ride cymbals that I had before. But no, it was such a fun album. The dude from Brooks and Dunn that you worked with, okay, you traded with him. Well, that's not a bad deal. See, this guy's worked with a guy who worked with Brooks and Dunn. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's pretty flippin' cool. You didn't know BDB was that cool, did you? I'm not that cool. Zach's that cool. I just am cool by association. That's it. Oh, in the country band, Mayor? That's cool. That's good stuff. I hope you're enjoying that, by the way. I know we talked about the shuffle rhythm and trying to get a better handle on that. Zach is actually a pretty interesting dude. So I'm going to brag on you a little bit. I'm not going to totally tell all your stories, Zach, because that's your deal. But Zach would probably tell you that he was much more of a like left Green Party leaning guy in a lot of his views on different things. And then he had some experiences in work that he'd done, and I guess that began to radically change some of his views. And he started, enjoying certain people that I guess were more connected with the right in a sense. But he and I had conversations about that recently. It was so funny. It was hilarious. And he's a Christian brother. I've always loved him in that regard. But the fact that he went through some of that transference was awesome to me. It was just hilarious to talk about. So I'm not trying to totally misrepresent you here, bud, but no, I'm just thinking back to when we first got back in touch after a while, and you were sharing some of that stuff with me. It was cracking me up. So funny. But yeah, this whole bit, there you go. Yep, he's a Jordan Peterson fan through and through there. By the way, Zach, if you don't know about Akira the Don, you need to go look up Akira. That somebody do me a favor because I'm not going to find it fast enough. Somebody throw up a channel link for Akira the Don, and let Zach pull that up because this stuff is ridiculous. He's got a new album out that he's a musician, and it's all lo-fi hip hop, and he's put clips of Jordan Peterson against lo-fi hip hop backbeats and things, and other melodic stuff that he attaches to. It's so good. It's so good. Thank you. Yes. Can't talk and eat. The banana bread tried to assault me, tried to assassinate me, but I love it. No, that was me doing it to myself, right? I need to ask the question, what am I doing wrong? Maybe stop doing that thing, like talking while you're eating banana bread. Oh, yeah, what? Oh, well, shoot, someone's about to go in 5 minutes. Well, I don't want to keep on going if they're going to do their thing. That's awesome. That's great. He's filming right now. Is it live? Oh, Crowder's not live? Or he is live? Crowder's doing a Change My Mind live right now in front of the White House or not live? Because that's cool. Not live? Okay. Okay. That's still cool. I can't wait to see that when it comes out. That's going to be good. Speaking of Crowder, I'm going to mention that today. So, Sven Computer, a couple of things I'm learning now, or Sven Lucas is his real name. So there's this picture on his Twitter that I saw last night with, I believe, Jared Monroe and his wife, and then Sven, and I don't know, there's another guy standing next to it, and I don't know who this guy is, and my suspicion is I look at the picture because there's no evidence to this at all, but as I look at it, my first impression, this is my impression, I make that clear, was that this was Sven's significant other. I don't know if Sven Lucas is gay or not. If he is, love him. That's great. I'm not celebrating it at all, but if he's doing his thing, okay. And so I don't know. I'm not saying he is if he's not, right? But it's still interesting. More of the continued like non-explanation business about his leaving, other than he put a tweet out that he was fired, and then that tweet is deleted. And now Jared had left the show, fully announced. Aaron, the intern, has also left the show. Aaron Joseph, and the only announcement is that he put an announcement out about it. Never heard anything from LWC about Aaron, the intern, leaving, or Sven. Maybe they don't talk about interns leaving as much, but they do. They had some people that wrote for them and other stuff like that. Some lady who had a disease, and they put her on to interview her before she was leaving. I don't know. It was weird stuff. More unanswered questions about the whole situation. But I am still sort of now like leaning toward this as being like an orchestrated business. When I see Jared and Sven hanging out together at church and all this, like they're buds now that they've left the show. Could it be what it seems to be on the surface? Yes, but I really feel like LWC has something deeper in mind. And I'm really curious to see what that is. But that's me. I'm a conspiracy theorist about all that business. Don't want to know that I'm actually allowing everything referring to Sven to bounce off my forehead. I mean, oh, Sven did come out? I didn't know that. Maybe he did. Germans. I don't think they really left either, Dom. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could settle this in a heartbeat, and if it was real, and just say, no, we fired his butt. But they haven't done that. That's so great, dude, Zach. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Why not have age as a social construct, right? It's like brain differences between the teen years and your adult years, like those aren't real science. That's just ridiculous. The effects of an alcohol ridden body at 17 versus 30. Yeah, there's no differences there. You know, don't no impacts on development or anything like that. That's funny, man. That's hilarious. So yeah, still curious about the whole Sven Lucas issue. But Mayor, you watch Crowder's show though, don't you? Oh, so okay, you knew what we were talking about. Yeah, I didn't see your other comment. I gotcha. I gotcha. Let's see. Crowder, we got something big coming very soon. Clench your butts, clench them tight, or your butts, clench them tight. That's funny, man. Uh, so that's funny though. Speaking of Jordan Peterson, and we had some Akira the Dawn reference going on here. Definitely subscribe to that guy if you have not yet. He has wonderful music. I highly encourage it. He's a wonderful guy to speak with. I chatted with him a little bit on one of his live streams, and he answered a whole bunch of questions from me. You know, I probably asked about 3 or 4 or 5, and somewhere in there, and he was more than happy to keep taking my questions. So cool dude, you know, very much just a regular person trying to make a good living and just creating like crazy. Him and I probably again wouldn't agree on everything. It sounds like, but he's. I like being able to go running with a JBP wave playing in the background, like I did yesterday. I had the Genesis wave playing, and getting those messages of like clean up your room, repeated in my mind against a drum and bass line. That's a great way to instill some of those points and the supporting evidence behind why those are super important. Yeah, I love that. I really love that. I think the next stage is for me to create some progressive rock with JVP stuff in the background. You know, that would be interesting. I'd be really energized by like 5-part harmony singing choruses and stuff like that. It'd be interesting. Get Jordan Peterson, if I could, to come and sing on the album. That would be amazing. Oh, Levin. Well, he probably does. It is Mark Levin, though, and Mark Levin's been around for a long time. I mean, Rush Limbaugh had Mark Levin on his show for years, you know, and I think, who else was that I'm thinking? Billy Cunningham, you know, his late Sunday night show, I'm knocking things down over here. Yeah, his old late night Sunday night show, it had the great one Mark Levin on for a long time, too, you know, so that guy had expressed his points of view and different things within conservatism for a long time. So for Crowder, that's got to be kind of a big deal. I kind of get where he man crushes on that a little bit. I don't know that it's to its credit, but I get it. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. So haha. Yes, Liberty Snake Bear, that is also a great line of JPP's. I love that. Alcohol is a great drug. The problem with alcohol is it's a great drug. That's like a half step away from being Rick James, right? Cocaine, hell of a drug. That. So I put into the chats last night, into the Hangouts chat, a clip that I found. I can't remember who created it, but it was funny, and I'll have to refine that and post it again. Jordan Peterson, it was a lecture of his, and it was all edited up. And the purpose of doing this was for people to see how easily something could be edited up to make it look like someone saying something totally different. And it was edited to make it look like Jordan Peterson was on cocaine, as it appears I am now, which I'm not. But I'm just quickly flowing in thought. But he does that as well. So this was chopped up to really make it seem like, I mean, he had the, you know, like I'm doing as well because I have sinus issues. Sinus issues. Yeah, it was funny. So I'll try to find that and post a link to it. It's pretty hilarious. I'm becoming more and more aware now. I'm like more self conscious about the fact that someone said that, and I'm like feeling my mannerisms a little bit. Like maybe I do look like I'm snorting the yayo. I've heard that term before. Uh, no, thank you. I do remember my first drug though. I do remember the first thing I got. I got a little buzz off of baby aspirin. Yeah, it was that was pretty rough, you know. Don't worry about the Bam Bam. Oh man, you guys are cracking me up. Ear, nose, throat doctor. Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah, it could be nasal polyps. I've made that snorting sound, that thing that I do, for goodness, 30 years, close to 30 years. Um, Done that in some way, shape, or form, and it's like there's a film of mucus or something. I'm gonna get a little gross here, but I want to make it clear, you know. So bear with me on this. Hope you're not eating or drinking anything right now. There's like a film of mucus or something. It feels like it begins to form up back inside my sinus cavity a little bit. So the snort thing became instinctive to sort of clear that whenever it would start to form. And there's times where it does it less than others. Like when I'm not as stressed, whether it's positive or negative stress, I tend to do it less. When I'm chilling out, relaxing, I usually tend to do it less. And there can be environmental factors that seem to affect it. Cigarette smoke really hypes it up, and I get more inflammation or something in there, and seem to produce more. But I've been allergy tested before, and I don't have a wide range of allergies, you know. So, yeah, it's just been an on and off thing for the last close to 30 years. And I'm not 100% sure what the causal factors are. I know there's certain things that seem to impact it. But I've done medications, I've done all kinds of different things over the years. And some days I have more sinus troubles than others, like I'm producing more mucus in general than others. Other days I'm not at all, I'm totally free and clear. But sometimes I get that feeling where it feels like there's something forming back here, but there's nothing. Even if I've blown my nose several times, you know, that day, there's nothing going on there. It's like totally clear, but I'm getting this feeling like I have to push something forward. And, you know, a minute or two later, I have to do it again. So, what did you say? Deviated septum, someone thought, yes. Well, kick, yeah, that's been suggested at times as well. The polyps could be a thing. Huh. Put down coffee. Mitochondrial problem. Hey, Albert, how are you doing today? Good to see you. Less oxygen in mitochondria when you get exposed to smoke. That's a thought. That's an interesting thing to investigate. Medications can cause polyps. Yeah. And I haven't done any for a long time. But that's entirely a possibility. Mayor had to drop that. Good job, Mayor. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Doing well, Albert. It's good to see you in here, man. Yeah, I hope you can enjoy this. If you didn't catch all of it, feel free to come back and rewatch. I love doing these and getting into some worthwhile subjects and encouraging people. Sadly, it is, what time is it? We've been doing this about an hour now. I'm looking for the counter. I don't see the, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this so I can see it. Restore. Alright, where's my time? I don't have a timer on here. Oh, that's because I'm on this. So it's up there. So, here's the deal. Yeah, you know what? I would love to see Mama Bear on Crowder. That would be awesome. That would be hilarious. If she goes and sits down. But Mama Bear, if you're out there, if you're watching, you can't act like you're in agreement, right? Because he'll never let you sit down. You have to treat that as if you'd be opposing. So argue the viewpoint as if you are coming from an opposing view. And try to list all these reasons why Trump is a fascist, you know, try to have a good argument for that. And then let Steven do his thing. But it'd be great. And at the end of the whole thing, you could be like, no, I'm actually a bear. I'm part of Owen's community. And that'd be awesome. It'd be so fun. Don't forget, definitely plug Steve Pender's stream and Field of Bears and that bear and Boulder and myself if you want to. Shameless plugs. Oh, I'm forgetting somebody. Who did I just forget? Dom, maybe. And Mayor. We need to plug all of them, right? All the bears. I'm probably gonna forget somebody else. Very Happy. Gotta get her plugged a little bit. No, I'm kidding. You're not going out there to plug us, but I do hope you get a chance. If you get to see Crowder do the thing in front of the White House, I'd be watching for you. I'll be looking to see if you make it into the video because that'd be awesome. I'll try to clip it out and share it or something. Kyle Kavanaugh. He's on tonight? That's cool. Tell you what, if something else is going to get going here, it's about that time. I got to get going anyway because it's like 9:40. I've been at this for about an hour. So, yeah, tonight, that's what I was about to say. I'm going to be on Steve Pender Show tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. I won't probably be on at 9. I think he's saying that he might have Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman, retired, come on the show and speak. And I'm unbelievably honored to be asked to be in the same show as Colonel Grossman. I won't be there. I won't be on at the same time with him. I won't be speaking to him. But to be in the lineup of a show with that man, that's a huge honor for me. I can't believe that. I'm so thankful to Steve for inviting me to do that. I never would have imagined that I'd have an interactivity with the community like this and have an opportunity for something like that. That's super, super, super cool. So I hope I don't sound like a total moron when I come on and talk about it. But the topic is going to be interesting. I think you should tune in and hear what it's going to be about. I've got a little more homework on some of that to do because I want to look up some of the references that I'm thinking of in relation to what we'll talk about. I won't get any more divulging than that. But feel free to tune in tonight, 9 p.m. Central Time. Steve Pender, 1911 Bears channel for that one. It should be a lot of fun. And yeah, engage your mind, engage your body, and engage your heart, and seek to serve the ultimate purpose. And for me, being a good husband and father is really, really huge part of that. And the next thing under that is my profession as a musician. I want to be better and better at it. In fact, you know, before I go, I might give you a little taste. Back the camera up a little bit. Why not? Why not give you just a taste here? Let's see if I can even do that. There we go. Billy Cobham, yeah. Probably not going to be that intense. But we're going to get you something. All right. All right. I am Big Drum Bear after all, right? Got my saw blade in here. You can sort of see that. All right. My dogs are freaking out that I'm drumming. little solo for you guys. But love you, bears. Have a wonderful day. I hope that wasn't totally distorted and you could actually hear something. But blessings to you guys, and I will see some of you tonight. Peace, bears.